So today's topic is on communicating with probation officers. A little disclaimer before we get too far into the webinar. When I say probation officer or PO, it's going to be the same stuff, whether it's a probation officer or parole officer, maybe human services or a caseworker. It's all the same features. I just use the term PO or probation just kind of as shorthand for that realm of referral sources that you need to communicate with. So in the webinars leading up to today, we've kind of shown some new features out there today. A lot of them have come from the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, I don't really have anything brand new to show you. These are long-standing features of the system. They've been around for a while, so maybe it's something that you didn't know you could do. Maybe it's something you're looking to get a little more information on. Either way, I hope that this is informative to you. Hopefully, you get something out of this that you can then use in your practice. As always, you can ask questions throughout the webinar with the chat function on your Zoom. You should be able to access the chat either at the top of your screen or the bottom of your screen, or also, as always, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question that way. But we'll just jump right into it. So the first thing I wanted to show everybody is how to add a probation officer to your system. We get this question often. It's something a lot of people have either gotten an email on how to do or to this day still don't know how to do. So how do you add a new external user, a probation officer or parole officer to your site so that you can start communicating with them about your clients, send them monthly reports, all that good stuff. So adding new users is going to be done, you can do it one of two ways. First way I'll show you is the manual entry way. So that's going to be under user info users. And then at the bottom of that screen, you can go ahead and add a new user with a green plus. And that brings you to the user profile. Something is popping up here that actually is, I didn't plan on including this in the webinar today, but I do want to just make special mention of it, just because it's come up a lot recently. So Google Chrome likes to autofill information if you have your autofill settings enabled on your computer. So right here, where in the blue for the username, it's got my name, it's autofilling some information there for me. This could be problematic if you are not paying attention and you could possibly overwrite somebody else's user profile with that information from Google Chrome, or maybe you overwrite a client's information on the client profile page. It's been known to happen. We've made several corrections to try to stop it, but Google is always updating. So just keep in mind, if you don't want it to happen, you can always turn off your Google Chrome autofill settings in the ellipses up here in the upper right corner. Or just be mindful if you see a field that is blue, it's trying to autofill information, so just be careful. All right, but this is the user setup page. It's the same setup page for internal staff and external staff. I guess it's not external staff, external users. So you just fill out the information, some of the required fields, first and last name, email, and a password. If you're setting up a PO, for the password, it's going to want you to enter none in all capital letters. Okay. That none is going to allow them to have access to your site from our portal, and I'll kind of discuss the portal here in a few minutes. But what you want to do when you're setting up this profile, this is the manual entry. At the top on the right-hand side, we have roles, and there is a column for externals roles. So you want to select one of these. And you can see when I do that, when I change it from an internal staff to external, the permissions are far fewer. Add a PO to your system is you can search for them in the ReliaTrax probation portal. There's a link to it right here that find our Tune portal user. The other way, that's probably a little faster, just user info, find our Tune user. Okay. So as soon as it loads, all right. So this is going to let me search the ReliaTrax portal. Again, the portal is a database that we have, that we control, of all the probation officers, or hopefully all of them, that you would work with. We put a lot of time into maintaining that database. So chances are, if you're searching for a PO, they're going to be in there. Okay. But you just search. Depending where you're at, you may need to change the states. I'm just going to search by the last name. It's going to search the portal for anybody who closely matches the last name of Smith. So here's everybody that matches. So you just find the PO you're looking for in the list. Oh, I see somebody raised their hand. Shelly, do you have a question? I'll be honest, I didn't know raising your hand was an option in Zoom. That's pretty cool.
Okay. There. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Shelly.
Okay, thanks. So I may have just missed this, but do I need to check here in ReliaTrax portal before I enter someone in manually into my own ReliaTrax?
So if you're adding them from the portal, you don't have to do it manually. So it's one or the other.
So if I find them first in the portal, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and
yeah. So if
I guess
you find
here's another question, is that I have not been using none for their password. I have been using what I learned early on years ago. I've been giving them a password.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So if
should
you're
I be
entering a password,
is my point.
Yeah, you should be, because then they'll be able to access your site through the probation portal. If you use a different password other than none, they're not going to be able to. Okay.
Okay.
And actually,
well, that's very helpful.
I want to correct myself there. I think they would still be able to access it. Now that I'm just thinking through it a little bit, I believe that they would be able to access it still, but save yourself the trouble.
Yeah.
Just enter none.
Yeah. So good. Awesome. Yeah, because they've been able to. Okay. Thanks. That's my answer. Thanks a lot.
All right. Okay. So I'm just going to take a step back here. So after you find the user in the list that you're looking for, you click on the link to the left. And it's going to bring us back to that same user setup page that we looked at when we were doing it manually. Although this time you'll see a lot of the information is filled out for you already. I still have to enter that password, so I'm going to do none. And it does have to be in all caps, just to reiterate that. Then I want to say which organization that this PO works with. Yeah, I see another hand raised.
It's Donnie.
Hey, Donnie.
Hey, you were saying about you didn't have to enter them in manually, but I've come across a few where a probation officer or someone from like ComCore calls and they want to be added, and you type in their name in that RTUN, and they're not there. Do we just
Okay, yeah.
we contact you guys?
So then, and I am going to run through that, but yeah, that is an option. So you could enter them in manually in that case if you're not finding them. And then there's a way to request that they be added to the portal. And I'll show you that here in a second.
Okay.
Okay. So we want to set the organizational association to whatever district they're with. So I can see here in the portal, we've got them in as 18th Judicial. So I'm going to say on my end of things, they are 18th Judicial. And then there's two options right here. Email clients or email the user about the clients. This checkbox does need to be checked if you want to send them any emails from the system. Things like treatment plans, monthly reports, any documents that you want to send, this has to be checked in order to do so. Right below it is the email user about non-compliant clients. This is the everyday email that goes out that says, hey, your clients, these 5 clients of yours who are all attending treatment at treatment agency 123, they all missed today. So this is that. If it's set to never, they're not going to get the compliance emails about attendance, but if this is checked, they could still get emails about like monthly reports. If you want them to get those compliance reports about attendance, this does have to be set to daily. And it says daily. I don't want you to feel misled. If I'm a PO and today my 5 clients all attend treatment, nobody missed, I'm not going to get an email. It's not a everyday bugging me type thing. It's only if they miss. Okay. And then I would submit. Okay. I'm going to cancel this though because that's a real PO and this is our fake site. Yeah, so Laura, to answer your question, you can use that function to see if there's a PO in your system that you haven't entered yet. If you're trying to see, if you just want to see if PO John Smith has been added to your site yet or not, the easiest thing to do would be to come here to user info users. Brings us to this page that we're on right now. And then there's a search box here. So you can search, and if you're not seeing the one that you need in the list, means they're not in your site yet. In that case, you can click on the Find RTUN portal user right here. Let's see, can everybody hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear it now.
Okay. I am so sorry, everybody. The internet kind of is struggling with me today. All right. I'm going to just backtrack then because it doesn't sound like anybody heard me. So if you need to request a change to a probation officer who is already in the portal, you can come here to user info users and you can pull up their accounts by typing the name. Okay. And then click Find User. It pulls up their profile. And then at the top is a Request a Change option. Okay. And so if you click that, it brings you to this form. You can put in some details about what needs to be changed. And then we will follow up with that PO. We will confirm all the details of the change, make those changes, and we'll let you know that it's been done. If you added a PO manually and you want them to be added to the RTune portal, so in that case, you can go here. You just click, you can find them. You can pull up their profile. And then if you right here it says try to link now. So if you click that and then submit, okay, so it's telling me there's nobody matching that name in the portal. So then right here you just click request user be added. Okay. So that's adding probation officers to the site. Let's see. Yeah, so the sending the request change option is better rather than just emailing like me directly or Wendy directly. It will happen faster for you guys because we have a team dedicated to updating the portal. So if you request a change that way, those changes should happen faster. Okay. So next thing I wanted to show is how to add the probation officer to a client. Most of you are probably familiar with this, but I did want to cover it just in case. So this is done directly on the client's profile. I've already got a couple added to this client, but if I click on the blue, sorry, on the eyeball icon in the blue icon bar, that will let me add additional supervisors, or I can also remove other ones. If the client is with multiple districts, maybe they have a case in 2 different districts, and you need to add a PO from the 14th as well as the 18th, you can first add the other district to the client's profile using the building icon here. So if you click that, it'll let you add more districts. You could also remove any other ones. And then you'll be able to add officers from both districts. Yes, Laura, to answer your question really quick, that is just I'm guessing you're asking about the request change button. That is just for probation officers or POs to update their profiles. All right, so next up, I wanted to show you all the different options for sending things like monthly reports. So first option, which is probably the most common option, is we give you guys a comment box, or we give your counselors a comment box to add comments for a specific treatment, and then those comments get added onto a pretty collaborative monthly report. So that would look something like this. It's just a comment box. Let me just put some comments in here really quick. And I'm gonna, oh, that's from August 2014. We don't want that. There we go. So now it's recent. So I'm going to archive my monthly reports. Okay. Laura, to answer your question in the chat, using the RTune for evaluators or anyone other than PO, I guess it would just have to depend on who you're wanting it for. I do know some agencies have used it for things like court evaluators. If it's an independent evaluator, we usually suggest you add them to just your site. You add them manually. All right, so back on the monthly report. So I wrote the monthly report then. If I want to see what the email is that goes out to probation officers, that's what this icon is in the icon bar. It's a little report. And if you hover over it, it says client progress report. So you can take a look at what it looks like. And I wrote that for May. So this is the ReliaTrax standard monthly reports. So it's got a a snapshot of everything that the client is enrolled in at your agency, and just gives a brief summary of the number of sessions that they've attended, the number of no-shows, if there's a set number that they're supposed to, like a required amount, it shows that number as well. So at the top here, it is just a brief summary of everything they're doing. A little further down the report, we break it down a little more. So these boxes separate the different treatments. So this first box is for relapse prevention. You can see that any dates in the month of May that the client attended. And then I made my monthly report on the level 2 education down here at the bottom. So you got the dates, any no-shows are listed, and then there is my comment to probation. The reason I like this report is the client's doing their level 2 education with me. They're doing their individual counseling with Wendy, and maybe they're doing relapse prevention with even a third counselor, who knows. If we all put our comments in here, the probation officer is going to get this one report with dates of attendance and misses for each service that the client received, and then a comment from each counselor that they worked with. So it's one collaborative report. And then if there were any test results for that month, like UA test results or BA test results, those would be showing up there as well. Okay. So a question in the chat, where do you put in the comments that go onto this report? Again, those are attached to each of the services down below. It's usually going to be this blue piece of paper with the pencil. That's where we tend to attach the monthly reports, is to that icon here. Not saying it can't be one of these other ones, but my bet 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the blue one. Okay. So that's one option for sending monthly reports to your referral sources. The other option, let me make a quick change to my setup here. So that collaborative report I showed you, that report is not customizable. It's the only report in ReliaTrax that we can't make changes to. But if you have your format for a monthly report that you are just set on, like, yeah, this is the one, this is what you want to email to the probation officers every month, we can do that. So each treatment, when we could attach up to 4 documents to it, usually you think session note, treatment plan, monthly report, and discharge summary. There's a couple different options there. We have what's called a distribution method for each document. Things like session notes are going to be set to do not distribute. Oh, it looks like I got a couple questions. One second. Let's see. Unmute. So, Shelly, did you have a question?
Yes, but it goes back to the other way, the first way you showed us. So if you want to finish
Okay.
this and come back to me, that'd be fine. Yeah, thanks.
Sure, sure thing. And then, Donnie, did you also have a question?
No, I didn't know.
Okay. All right. So then, just continuing on the distribution method then. So session notes, typically we set those to do not distribute. Those are going to be private. Probation officers cannot see it in that case. The distribution method for include comments in progress report, that is the first version we just took a look at, that collaborative report. So the comments that you enter for each treatment then get put onto that report, which can be sent out. And also we'll take a look at sending out the reports here in a minute. Another option would be to email that document directly to the PO when I'm done writing it. So let me save this really quick and we'll take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so again, I'm back on the client's profile. I'm going to click on my monthly report, same place, I don't have to go anywhere different. Click on that blue document. And I'm just going to copy this one. Okay, so here's my comments. I'm done writing it. The difference you'll see here is when I go to release and approve it, it's now saying first release the document. So I'm going to release it. And then it's asking select who you want to send it to. So I'm going to send it to Jim Edwards, the probation officer, and the other probation officer. And then I would just click approve and email. The difference between the two is doing it this way, the probation officer is going to get one email for every client. So right now I just wrote that client's monthly report and I emailed it to him. If I have 5 clients with him, he's going to get 5 emails with different reports attached to each. If I do it the first way with that collaborative report, that is going to send him one email with the 5 different reports attached. Okay. So, Shelly, this would be a great time to ask your question.
Okay, my question is back to the beginning of your first way, which I think I've been doing all along, the collaborative. Well, could you start at the beginning with that one? Not clear the whole thing, but just the very beginning. I missed some of that explanation.
Sure. So that one was set up. Let me change it back here. So the first distribution method is to include my comments into the collaborative reports. Okay. So let me save that. And, you know, you guys don't have to make these changes to the distribution method. We're happy to work with you. I'm not expecting you all to make that change yourselves. But I've set it up to include my monthly report comments. And again, my monthly report is this icon here. Okay, I think we're back up and running. I apologize, everybody. The internet is very rough today. So what I was saying is after you write your monthly reports, it's just going to ask you to release and approve it, just like you would a session note. Only difference is then with your monthly reports, the comments are taken from that document and they're placed on this icon here. So this is what's actually sent out to the probation officer. If the client is enrolled in different services, okay, this is, yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's going to include the comments from the different counselors that the client works with. I did want to show everybody how to send this, because unlike with the other way, when you archive the document, it asks you right then and there, do you want to email it? With this way, somebody actually has to go in and submit the reports, has to tell the system to email them out. So if you go up here to reports, progress reports, first thing I would do is I would go to the monthly report status, because this is going to let me know where we are in in writing those. So you can see right here at the top, these are all unassigned, meaning these clients, they're not in a group yet, they're not with a counselor yet. But if I keep going down, so here's a good example. So for Wendy, these are Wendy's clients, all for individual counseling. If it has a green filing date, it means that that report has been written for that client. So ideally, before you send these, you want the filing date column to be completely filled out in green. If it's not green, it means there's no comments that have been written for that client yet, and their PO will still get a report. It'll just be the attendance details. There won't be comments from the therapist. Okay. Then if everything looks good and I want to send them, I'm just going to go back up to reports and down to progress reports and email. So these are all the organizations in the system that I have entered that I work with. If I want to send just to one organization, I can do that, or I can select all. And then I'm going to click next. And I want to send the reports for April of 2020, or you can change it. Okay. Then down below is a list of all the probation officers in the system that I work with, that have some at least one client assigned to them that they supervise. And if you want, you can click on the name to see, okay, these are the clients that PO Wendy works with. And if I want to send only Wendy's clients, I can select all and then click submit. Or if I'm done with the whole agency and I want to email everybody, at the top, I'm just select all clients and then again, submit. And then those emails, since that's 120 different progress reports, those would go out at 11 o'clock tonight. We don't want to kind of bog down your system by trying to send out a whole bunch of information while you're doing notes and groups. And so those go out at 11 o'clock p.m. Another type of document that you can send out. So we took a look at how you, for the monthly report, if you write it and you want to email it right away, you can do that. There's a similar function for treatment plans. So for treatment plans, you can email if you are a MTT team or CST team, something if the probation officer has to sign off on a treatment plan, let's say for domestic violence clients, you can write your treatment plan and then you can send it to the PO and request that they actually sign off on it. So let me go to my DV group here because I know that's set up for it. Okay, so I wrote the treatment plan. Now I'm ready to archive it. So just like with the monthly report, it's saying, okay, release the document. And then do we want to email it to the supervisor? And you can see up here, it says we're requesting a signature. So I'm going to say approve an email. The PO will then get an email saying, hey, you got this new document that's pending your approval. And you can see here, it's pending that PO's signature. So I did want to show everybody how that works. So I'm going to log out of myself here. And I'm going to log in as my PO. If I could remember the password. I am very sorry, everybody, that obviously the internet is having a very tough time today. I believe that we are all back and everybody should be able to hear. We are actually almost done. I wanted to show everybody how the POs actually log in and sign those treatment plans. So let me just update my password here really quick. Okay, so the PO should have gotten an email saying they have a new document to sign for this client. So they log into your ReliaTrack system from the portal. when they're in, they should see a document like this floating in the upper right corner. So if they click on it, it takes them to where they can see everything that is pending their approval. Then they can click on the green check mark. That is going to pull up the document for them to review. They could then add their comments. And they could either approve it or refuse it. If they refuse it, we do require them to put comments in the field, letting you guys know why it was refused. If they approve it, though, they don't need to put comments. Either way, those comments and their signature are then going to become part of the form. All right, and one last thing that I want to show you before I open it up for questions is your ability to send other documents for approval, which is that function that we just looked at. So if there's a document that you uploaded into the system, but you do need a probation officer to sign off on it, so you can go to the client's profile and go to the filing cabinet. Okay. And then you just find the document that you're looking for. And if you click on this icon right here, and I can zoom in. So if you click on that, need to zoom out. It's going to tell you who signed it so far, but right here you can add additional signers. And you can select the probation officers if you want. You could also have other staff sign it. If you need to send it to like a supervisor, you can also do that. And then click send. All right, so that is the bulk of everything I wanted to go through today. And at this point, I do want to leave it open to questions. So feel free to send it through in that chat or unmute yourselves. So yeah, we'll just open it for questions.
Hey, Mike, this is Donnie.
Yeah.
Hey,
Donnie.
I think I missed the part of when you have the, say, a discharge summary and you're sending and you're releasing it. Does it automatically request a signature from the PO?
I would have to check the setup. It can. So if you wanted to send the discharge summary for their approval, that is an option as well. It's just that distribution method. So if I go in here.
Oh, it's done in
and here's my
method. Is that?
Yeah, so you can do it there, but you could also send it from the filing cabinet as well. It's just the extra step.
Okay.
Yeah, so the distribution method would email the approval to the PO when you archive it. So it's just it's what works for you guys. Some people might be typing out questions in the chat. One thing I can mention, POs do have the ability to send tasks in ReliaTrax. You might notice them. It's this little bubble that keeps popping up when I come to the client's profile. It's this icon in the icon bar that gets that to pop up. So probation officers have the ability to put tasks on there as well. They're meant for small communications, like, hey, have the client call me if they show up for group tonight. one thing you can do, you can go to admin, and there is an option for client tasks. It'll let you see a list of all the tasks across all the clients. And if you want to complete them, you just click on the little bubble for the status, and it goes away. All right, any other questions? If not, I might cut the webinar there before the internet kicks us all off again. One thing to mention, I think I mentioned last week that this was going to be the last weekly webinar. The decision was made late on Friday that we are going to continue the weekly webinars at least to the end of May, just to while the pandemic is still going on. We're going to continue these weekly webinars. I am not 100% sure what next week's topic is on, but there will be another webinar next Monday. Hopefully the internet works with us a little more. So keep an eye on your emails for those invites. And thank you everybody for joining us today. And I hope you got something out of the webinar. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.
Goodbye.
All right,
Thanks, Mike. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.